front of them, he ain't even denied it. Her fault, depends on who you asking. She tried to be a stripper, but the tip out was taxing. Buying all the purses, trying to keep up with the fashion. And her mama hated babysitting with a passion. She deserved better circumstances. A black queen, she should have been blessed with certain chances. Look down upon getting all of hurting glances, making men change up all the twerking stances. She never cried about the pain, only gritted her teeth. But most soldiers never get a flower or a wreath. She like G.I. Jane in the war with no relief. Don't recognize why killers was going through her beef. She said more prayers than a nun did after seeing so much struggles with only one kid.
We're rewarding you for something you already do, listening to us. It's radio loyalty, and it's an easy way for you to get free stuff. All you do is sign up. Go ahead and click the banner now. You'll earn points as you listen. Points you can trade.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome. It's Wednesday, May 22nd. We almost in the summertime. You know, there ain't no fall, there ain't no spring. It's either winter or summertime. And other than the last 2 days, it has really felt like summertime. What's up, everybody? I'm your host. Welcome to the Skylyne Radio Show. I'm your host, Mark T. the Busy Bee. See, the chair is empty. She'll be here in about 10 minutes. You know how that goes. It be like that, though. Coming from Capitol Heights, Forestville, D.C. area, it's like an hour and a half, 2-hour trip with all that traffic. Going through rush hour, 495, 95, 295, 50, 695, yeah. Headache. I don't do traffic. I don't even know why she drives. I would hop on that train real quick. You're up here in about 45, 50 minutes. I'm just saying. But anyways, like I said, it should be in about 10 minutes. We got a lot to talk about. We do not have a special guest tonight, and that leaves us wide open. We're taking all questions. You want to talk about something? Let's talk about it. You can come in here too. Come on, let's get it. Wow. I'm not used to seeing. You coming in here and joining us? Come on. Yeah, let's get it. Y'all know this guy right here? Y'all know him? He's going to introduce himself in a second. Watch this.
I'm just Nate. That's it.
You just Nate?
I'm just Nate.
Nate's the boss.
I don't know about that.
He paid the cost to be the boss. Guess who we
I pay the bills to be my boss.
He does that too.
So what's the show about today?
It's an open book. We don't have a special guest, so we're talking about whatever.
So what's on your heart, sir? What's on your
heart? I'm gonna jump on a bandwagon of women. Can we go there?
I don't know if you want that. I don't know what your fan base is like, so.
Right is right and wrong is wrong.
In terms of?
And I think it's dead wrong how the Republicans are trying to basically tell women what they can and cannot do with their bodies.
That's a sticky subject for me. Not me personally, but just I've been in a lot of doing some workshops lately, and that's been a conversation that's been coming up because I do a lot of workshops with like dads or men coming out of jail, and that's a sticky subject on a local level for them because I understand the argument in terms of Alabama, in terms of do you have the right to even have an abortion? But I can't say religiously because I don't agree with everything that my religion says.
Same with me.
But I don't think abortion should be used as a plan B or a get out of jail free card. I don't think it should be used as a means to erase a mistake. Now, in cases of incest or rape or molestation, or if the pregnancy itself is a hazard to the mother's life,
Right.
in those cases, that's a medical decision. It shouldn't be something that is for the government to decide.
Exactly.
But in cases of a teen pregnancy, or oops, the condom broke, or I like the way it feels raw, I don't feel like that should be your automatic decision.
Right.
That's why I kind of don't like talking about it, but those are my viewpoints, and that's what I personally feel. And I've seen it being abused. I've seen it be used as a tool as an eraser, versus for medical emergencies, for legal, ancestral, illegal, like rape or stuff like that.
Right.
But more so as a, oops, I didn't mean to do this. You know,
Like you said, get out of jail free card.
right. We grew up in the hood, so that's been used as that vehicle. And because it's been abused just as much as it been used as a tool, now you have people legislating it, because chances are the person who's utilizing it aren't paying the taxes for it. And that's the unfortunate part, because the people who are paying taxes get to say what happens. The people who are voting gets to say what happens. But that's just my personal feeling. And I know because I'm a guy, my opinion is often on a back burner for discussions like this. But I'm just saying, that's just my viewpoint.
I'm right there with you, brother.
You have children?
I do. My son, I've had custody since he was 1.5.
Okay.
I don't get child support, nor do I want it. I got 2 hands, 2 feet. None of my limbs are broke. I can go out here and work. I don't need no one to throw me no money for nothing.
But it's not no one, it's the parent.
Exactly.
And I think it should be a shared responsibility. Now, my question to you would be, if you had another child and that mother decided, I don't want to have this, do you feel like it's her choice alone?
I think it needs to be an equal, ladies, gentlemen, don't jump the gun. I think it needs to be an equal party discussion between them 2 individuals,
Right.
only. No lawyers, no parents, definitely no parents. I think it needs to be discussed, unless they're juveniles, then, I mean, you do whatever you feel is.
But
best
even
interest of
then,
your
I
child.
think it should still, they should have some coaches, but I still don't believe that somebody else should be saying, you are about to abort this baby.
Exactly.
Because we know in our parents' generation, that's something that's happened.
Right.
And I say that because social media-wise, on a local level, that's the conversation that's being had. It's not, processes and bills and legislation. It's, the conversation between, there are a lot of men that are coming out now saying, I found out she had an abortion. And for whatever reason, I'm not saying she was wrong for having it, but he never knew about it. Or,
And I don't think that's fair.
And that's the local conversation.
Right.
Do men have just as much responsibility being the father or the potential father that the woman should have, even though it's her body? But what percentage, if any, does the man have in deciding if he's ready to be a father?
I think.
Because we hear the other side, the ones that run away after they've had it.
Right. Oh, I can't do this no more, and like you said, run away.
But I think that
Men do it too. I mean, we can't say nothing about women, because not too many women are bad women or mothers when it comes to kids. Let's
some and bad is relative, but we're speaking more so that stay. And I know just as many women who left and the father was there to take care of the child as the majority of the mothers that decide to stay, because you decide to stay don't make you a good parent.
Right.
It doesn't. It just make you the one who got tagged. You're it.
Exactly.
So that's it.
Would I change anything? Nah.
Mm-hmm.
I love my son. My son changed my life for the better. And I say better because I slowed down. You know, I was in a fast lane on the highway. I was doing 95 on 95, let's be honest. I was ripping and running.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't eating right. I was working, at one point, I was working 80 to 100 hours a week. We was talking about this today. When I worked at a store called Shoe Department, that's the actual name. They have them in in the Baltimore area. The newest location is Arundel Mills, and I'm like, man, I could have retired from them this year. But yeah, I
wasn't the plan.
Real quick because I didn't like my district manager, and he was full of it, and I wasn't for it. So I started out Laurel Mall, transferred to Wheaton Plaza. I think I was out there 6 months, and I was like, enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too far to be putting up with this type of BS for this amount of money. And it was good money, but for the BS that I was dealing with, nah.
That's because you had a child on the way, or?
Oh no, this was 2 years before my son was born.
Okay.
But when he was born, I started putting life as an adult and as a parent into perspective. Because now it's not just about me.
So why did you stick around?
Because that's my son and that's how I was raised.
Okay, so I mean that aside, but what in you said, okay, I have to go forward versus run?
It's the fatherly thing, it's the adult thing, it's the responsible thing. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted my son. One thing led to another, and circumstances happened, and we're not going to talk about that because that's my personal business. But I got custody at 1.5, and my son will be 18 this year, and he don't want for nothing. He definitely don't want nothing now because he works. So if he wants it and I say no, he can spend his money and go get it. On that note, we're going to go pay some bills. We're going to take this break. We'll be back in about 3-4 minutes. If Nate is not here when we come back, thank you for stopping by. We appreciate you. And we'll be back.
Now listen to BeExposedRadio.com. Check out this fire flashback.
We need to relearn what it is to be these bosses and how we conduct ourselves as business-minded individuals and just people in general. I let my gut, and if I call it gut or God or whatever, I'm led by that energy. I know where it comes from. I know where it's, taking me, and you have to figure out what is important to you. And don't play this game. It's a game that we've learned to play, this chess game. And life is not a chess game. Life is real. Bones, flesh, blood, decisions.
Make sure you check out the Artist Exchange Show every Monday and Friday at 2 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com.
This is a Poverty ENT exclusive. Next stop, Texaco, strapped up, you already know. Fuck niggas hate, that's how it goes. Rolls with me, yeah, it's time to go. Bros with me? Yeah, it's time to go.
City, got my mind strong, take a time bomb. Fuck a pot, I'd rather back the kitty. I don't want the city, don't call me Diddy. Yeah, I rap my city, way to show them something they ain't ready for. Nigga voice firm, so you can't ignore it. Talking shit like I'm fixing toilets. Shag a business, I can see me torn. Horn cuffs, shades on, shirt off, strapped up, Molly down, blowing strong, riding around. The demonstration hold 50 rounds, I'm a fool with it. Got ratchet niggas that's cool with it. You gotta go hard till that ooh hit it. Stop fucking with me, got my mind set, see my mind status at a high rate.
Next stop, Texaco, strapped up, you already know. Fuck niggas hate, that's how it goes. Bros with me, yeah, it's time to go.
Whoa.
The moment my son saw a redwood tree
It's huge!
is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing!
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Check out this flashback.
Right.
know that I don't want nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Drug use.
It's crazy.
So again, derived from the lyrics. Talk to me about the interpersonal conflict.
So let me say this, and I think that what I'm gonna do is probably challenge a lot of what we're dealing with topically.
Yeah.
Because to me, whether we talking about material things, drug use, or anything else, it's where we teach our young people to place value.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're not going to take the person that has been given the value system, and I know we talking about young women, but I look at my son, I look at little Marvin, and one of the things, of all of the things that Marvin has decided that he would go venture into, one of the things that he's just completely stayed away from is drugs. Has no desire towards it, but I've never modeled anything about that being something. And when you look again, as we keep talking about the cultural aspects of things, we're talking about a culture and systems that creates a sense of attraction or makes this stuff attractive, in its advertising and promotion, whether it's the material things, whether it's the drug use. But I believe that if you've put a firm value system in, and taught people taught your young people, your young ladies, what has value, and what literally doesn't have value, then, even, I guess, kind of throwing them into the lion's den, whether it be sending them to Baltimore public schools, because everybody in Baltimore public schools ain't coming from your household, whether it be being out in the community or going to their cousin house who live in the rougher neighborhood. There can be the presence of that peer pressure, but we got to make sure that we balancing it out. So lyrics that are suggested towards drug use is ridiculous right now.
Join us every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Conflict Resolution with Daryl White, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
You're listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
late arrival, but you know I gotta come all the way from DC. That's not an easy trip. I actually left work a little early today, and you see what time I got here today. I'm so happy to be here. I really am.
She's always happy to be here.
This is really weird. But yes, so back to the conversation at hand. They were giving me a little bit of insight about what was going on before I got here. Where were we starting, Min?
Just jump in.
Oh, so.
You said there was more to the story.
Oh, the lady from Alabama who signed the abortion ban law. So I actually was able to watch another video of her reasoning behind it. She stated that at this rate, the amount of biracial children is going to skyrocket. So the only way to do that is to ban them so that whites have more of a chance to have babies, which was so weird to me. But you have to think about it population-wise.
That don't even make sense.
It's power. It's a continuation of power.
Was this something she said recently, or was this an old video?
It's recently. It's actually on my Facebook. I always, anything I talk about, I always find because it's on Facebook. But it's on my old Facebook. Let me see if I can find the actual video. I always repost a lot of stuff because I sometimes don't like talking on Facebook. It's easier to repost.
Because they said this country as a whole is on the downcline of pregnancy.
Which is good. Do you see the struggle? I mean, like...
I will admit, you don't see far as many young people, high school.
Here it is.
That are pregnant nowadays like you did 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So there's definitely a big change. Which is good.
I wish they had like words and stuff. But yeah, it's on my Facebook page.
So that's not the lady who was passing the bill.
No, her name is actually Jane Elliott.
Yeah, so she's not the person who created this bill. Jane Elliott she was a former teacher who...
Wait. So it was created, this bill was created by a woman?
Yes. So...
okay, so backtrack. I didn't know
Jane
that
Elliott
Jane Elliott and the woman were two separate people.
Yeah, Jane Elliott
Jane Elliott was the one who spreaded that information, helped me understand it more.
So Jane Elliott she was a former teacher who I want to say in the 50s or 60s, she did this experiment called the blue-eye, brown-eye test. And it grew over the last couple decades. It grew in popularity because she's gone to other countries and she started out with a group of her own students. And these were elementary school students, and she separated people based on whether they had brown eyes or blue eyes. And Jane Elliott's whole perspective is she's against racism, but she understands white privilege. And
is she the
one? Can you turn the sound down, because that's where the static coming from. But Jane Elliott devised this system of separating people based on their eye color, not telling people why they're being separated, but more so, you got brown eyes, you sit over here, you get to pick your own place, and the blue-eyed people, who were majority white often, had to sit in the back or sit on the floor or come in after. So she was putting the race that was already ahead behind, so they will understand what racism is. She may have been trying to get us to understand. I had to listen to the post at the next break, but she was probably trying to get the greater public to understand why somebody would try to restrict pregnancies or try to eradicate abortion, or because it's all based on systemic racism. So Jane Elliott is a good person. She's I don't like calling people allies because that's a generic term, but she tries to expose racism from the inside out. She's not training black people or talking to black people. She's talking, Jane Elliott specifically talks to white people about their racism.
Okay, so I do actually remember another video that I watched. She did it at a college, and one of the girls walked out, and she was like, see, this is what it feels like. And she went into explanation about that and everything. So I do actually know who Jane Elliott is. However, I did not know that she was not the same person as... She's not
the governor who's going to sign off on this, and she's not the senator, I believe, who devised the bill to make abortion illegal.
Now, question. You say brown eyes or blue eyes. What happened when they came to someone that had hazel eyes?
So it's considered brown.
Right, that's still considered brown.
Mine changed brown, green, and blue.
Right, so the majority of the people either have brown eyes. Most people have brown eyes. There's another group of people that have blue eyes, and then all the other ones kind of fit into more the brown eye category. But often she will put them in a group by themselves, so all the others get put in a group, and it's normally black versus white, and then others.
Like
so everybody else.
Brown. Depending on what I wear, the time of day, my attitude,
that's an
how I'm
attitude.
feeling, will determine how my eyes change in color. Like I said, they change brown, green, and blue. This one, I don't know which one it is, but we'll go with this one. This one will be brown. This one will be blue. Will be green.
So you will probably be put in the other category depending on what your mood was that day. But the whole idea was to take the color of your eye, which doesn't determine your race often.
But that's how they were trying to depict it without.
Right, but it was trying to teach you about racism without making it literal.
Right.
Because in most cases, like when she did it with her school students, segregation was in place, and she was talking to a group of white children, elementary school students. So the ones that had brown eyes versus the one that had blue eyes, but you still had a way of discussing what racism is, because the group that you probably saw, people didn't even think about it being a racial issue. It was more so you discriminated me against something that I can't control. And that's racism. That's the whole point of the argument on racism. So Jane Elliott is, I would consider, a good guy in the conversation. She's not the person who created the bill, though.
But do you believe and think that that was the reason why the woman governor of Alabama decided to pass that law?
I mean, I can't speak for her, but it is being argued that it's more so a religious argument, in that more so the far right are more conservative Christians, and that's not really all the truth. Because I'm Catholic, so that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't agree with abortion. I'm pro-life, but I'm also pro it being your choice. I won't ever go get an abortion or encourage somebody to get an abortion. But this is the argument that the Republicans are using to do this. The whole point of this is to take this to the Supreme Court so they can reverse Roe versus Wade. And that's the whole point of doing this out of the blue. This came out of the blue, even though it was a strategy once they got all those people in leadership to do this. But I don't think it was necessarily racism, because Alabama isn't majority black. You may think that it is, but it's not. Especially in the poorest parts of it. It's still black. A lot of black people that live there, but it's a majority white state. So we're hurting economically everybody that isn't, in the middle class and up. But I think it is definitely, I don't see the racism tied to it more so than my party has control. I want my viewpoints and my opposition to stand out. So I don't believe it's racism, because it's more white people in that state than it is black.
Okay.
I think it's. do I say that? Let's find out. I think it's more sexist than anything.
Well, and that's why they're pointing out the fact that there is a woman who drafted this bill,
Right.
and it's a woman that's going to sign off on the bill. So even that is an economical, spiritual argument outside of even sexism or racism. Those are the two that we go to. Those are our go-to arguments.
Right.
But I believe it's more so I'm in power. This is what I believe. I think you should do what I believe based on what my beliefs are.
I don't think, as a politician, I don't think your opinion matters.
Well,
I don't think you should bring your opinion into a business situation when it deals with us, the people.
Because they're supposed to represent the people who they are supposed to be representing.
Exactly.
So as a senator, as a governor, as representatives, you represent the state,
Right.
the city.
They say power to the people. People don't have the power, though. We didn't vote on this. Alabama didn't vote on that.
Well, they got voted in, so that's the argument. That's why there wasn't a huge turnout for voters in Alabama.
Yeah.
So the same old people that have been running that state are currently running the state. It's just new faces.
That's just like Maryland. Hogan passed, and I'm not disagreeing with it, but yes, I am. You can't go buy a pack of cigarettes, just like you can't go buy beer or liquor until you're 21 in the state of Maryland.
Right.
But you can go to another country and die for this country at 18. I think that's dead wrong. But that's my opinion.
Yeah. I think
mean,
all
they
of
probably
them.
already underage drinking. A lot of, never mind. I don't think
I'm sorry.
They are.
I'm sorry.
They are.
If you're active duty military, National Guard, if you're anything within existence of the U.S. military, I'm sorry. If you're 18, you can still buy cigarettes.
Yeah, I believe you can still buy cigarettes.
That's the stipulation of Hogan's bill. If you're military, you can still purchase tobacco products at 18. But if you're not, you have to be 21. Still, my opinion, I think that's wrong. I think the whole 21 to have a drink, I think it's dead wrong. Because you got 30, 40, 50-year-old men, 60-year-old men out here that cannot control their alcohol. So how can we honestly say an 18, 19, 20-year-old cannot handle their alcohol?
Well, that's easy because we've all been 18, 19, 20, and we know we shouldn't have been smoking and we shouldn't have the right to smoke or drink because we're not responsible with it. I just watched an episode of Family Guy, and the legal age, I think, to drink got raised up to, I think, 50 or so. And the dog was the only one that was old enough to buy liquor. And it's funny how they did it, but it made sense.
Right.
Like, it needs to be, I don't want prohibition to come back, but you have to give people, like, 21 is still not a responsible age to allow somebody to drink. Look at this, go down to Fells Point at any moment, or Adams Morgan, or, and just see, I'm trying to relate it to the D.C. area,
Hey,
but
thank you.
just see all those younger people that are out there, and you clearly know what age people are based on how loud they are. And it's the reason why certain places have made restrictions on how many bars or liquor stores and such. I just went to Georgetown.
Zoning is crazy.
And
I heard Georgetown and Adams Morgan is off the chain.
Not Georgetown.
Actually, they are two separate,
completely different.
Two separate entities.
There's not even.
Themselves.
You can't even get a bus.
Georgetown, Adam Morgan.
You can't even get a bus in Georgetown.
And power plant.
The power plant. I mean, still.
Power plant still falls within. Point. That's not what it is.
It's just an older group that can go get in there. You have to be at least, I think, 21 to get into.
Yeah, but it's still the same. Like Fells Point. The thing is with Georgetown is high class. They don't have. They don't. There's no way to get to Georgetown unless you take a bus, and even with the bus, you still have to walk a couple.
Yeah.
You still got to walk a couple blocks before you're actually in Georgetown.
Yeah.
The closest.
I don't even think it's a subway stop in Georgetown.
No, the closest subway station is about 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
From wherever you are. Like Georgetown is its own entity. Now Adams Morgan.
The university is under that university system. Yeah.
Police that sit at the beginning, the middle, and the end.
At the McDonald's and what's at the other end. One's always at the McDonald's and one's at the...
Always at the other end.
I heard that's like Fells Point times 5.
Nah, I don't think it's that. It's not as bad as it used to be. It used to be really bad, but now Adams Morgan more so is shaped by the youngins because the youngins can go out there and hang out, but they can't go inside none of the clubs.
And that's why it's always been rowdy. Yeah, that's why it's always been rowdy because
they hang out outside.
The clubs are small, so it's not even that many people inside.
Yeah, a lot of people go to Adams Morgan for the outside adventure.
Right.
Like. It's very fun, especially going to the diner. The diner is the best place on Adams Morgan ever. It is a restaurant open 24 hours.
I'm surprised
I done been there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I done been there at 10 p.m. I done been there at 3 o'clock in the morning. I done been there at 7 o'clock in the morning. Like, it is the best place ever.
I've never been to Adams Morgan.
We can't take you to Adams Morgan. Adams Morgan, they too young. It'll get you. You'll be like.
I mean, it's some variations, but normally the older people are in like some of the older establishments there, like the hookah bars and stuff like that. Is where you go find the younger people.
They have like 2 or 3 reggae bars. Heaven and Hell is there. Hearthrone is it's a new space that's actually a mixed crowd that I heard was really, really good. Where else? Those are usually Shenanigans. You know,
That's
the Shenanigans sits on the right.
Yeah, it's right in the middle.
That big place. I can't think of the name of it.
I never knew any of the names. I used to know the name of one because they had a club here and they had the same name, but it's the whole purpose of just these laws is kind of to restrict. But just like you said, the difference between a Georgetown versus a Adams Morgan or Fells Point, it's really the people that go there.
Yeah.
So they're not really, the police are there. They know it's underage people in that crowd, but they're looking for something to break out, and that's what that police are. Georgetown is never even get to that point.
They're on the nightlife side versus the police side.
Right, Georgetown is a bunch of doctors and students having fun.
Doctors and students in expensive restaurants.
Yeah, that's who having fun there.
Like
everyone's like, how can we'll take Fridays, Bennigan's. Well, we can't say Bennigan's because they're not here no more. Fridays.
No, there's still some Bennigan's around. I go to Bennigan's at least once a year.
Fridays. What was that place?
Applebee's.
What was that place in Beltsville, right off 95 and 295? Jaspers. Dave & Buster's, Jillian's back in the day. Fridays. I wasn't in the nightlife scene when Bennigan's was around. But you take those.
Bennigan's was a bar place you can go to.
It was in
the same concept of Fridays.
Yeah, it was at Arundel
Mills. It was just a little bit more classy.
What?
Oh yeah. Before your time.
Yes, that's way before my time because I would never see Bennigan's as a bar place. I always see it as a restaurant.
But people
like
always
a nice restaurant. I don't even see it in Friday's Flight.
It depends on where it was because I believe that's what was originally at Arundel Mills, and then I think they just switched Bennigan's, but I think it just
Bennigan's was never at Arundel Mills.
I want to say what was the name of that restaurant that was there? I thought it was Bennigan's that was there first.
You're talking about where Joe's Crab Shack was. It was a restaurant before Joe Crab Shack. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But it had the same format of, per se, Dave & Buster's. You had a restaurant side, mixed with more cut off like Fridays before they opened everything up. But you had your restaurant side, and then you had your huge big screen TV area.
Because that was
like
what
Dave
it
and
was.
Buster's does.
Yeah.
But you can't compare Dave and Buster's, because in my mind I was thinking games and stuff, and I was like, how they fit games in that
But
little
not
area?
every Dave and Buster's has that.
That's just that's just because it's at Arundel Mills,
Dave
and it was more
Dave and
space.
Buster's at Arundel Mills, just like Julian's, was the largest store.
So they never had games in Dave and Buster's?
That's the largest thing in Arundel Mills.
It was one of the few largest stores of that chain, just like Jillian's. You go to Dave and Buster's and White
But
Marsh.
didn't it replace
you have a
Jillian's?
small
But they
game
have
room
games.
and a bar, and that's it.
Okay, but there's
You go to
games.
Capitol Heights.
No, stop,
You
because
have
you're
games.
missing. You
You
keep
have
repeating
games.
yourself, and I
No.
get that. But you said you compare Bennigan's to Dave and Buster's. I was trying to figure out,
we're talking about the TV.
But I was saying you cannot compare Bennigan's to Dave and Buster's because there's no games. And I was like, was there games in Bennigan's? And you were like, yeah. And I was like, what?
No.
I mean, they were pool tables, but that was about it.
Okay, so they had pool tables. So it was like a upscale bar lounge area with pool tables thing going on. Okay, like Hangers Club in Clinton. I don't think you all have ever been there.
Jasper's had pool tables, right? Or did they? I don't remember. It's been so long. Ladies and gentlemen, Jasper's in Crofton, Jasper's in Beltsville, off 95 and 295.
They have the best happy hour, inexpensive.
Have pool tables. All I know was if you weren't at the bar by 5 o'clock, you weren't getting a seat.
It's still, I believe it's still that way. But Jasper's is so upscale now. Like, I really appreciate that.
Jasper's at?
In Beltsville?
Where?
Oh, not in Beltsville. It's in Largo, actually.
That's the only one that I heard that was still open, because Beltsville, I don't know what happened. All I know is they had some type of casualty thing happen. It caught on fire. Don't know.
Hey guys.
I heard about it.
All right.
The one in Crofton closed.
So, thank you to everyone that is tuning in. We are definitely about to go on break. We have to pay some bills. We see you all in about 5 minutes.
Be Exposed Radio.
Oh, in 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Y'all know.
On BeExposedRadio.com.
You see this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. And you might just see this. Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Join the Just a Bit Outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
You want to start off?
I think I'll get it out of the way on a who's not.
Okay, do it.
The Orioles. Right. They got swept by the Royals. They lost 4 in a row, and the last 5 games have all been decided by 1 run. The game before, or the last game that they lost before the Royals was the Nationals, and as Weeders, of course, won with a home run.
Hit the home run.
Right. They were going into that National Series. It seemed like they were doing so well, and they just crapped out. They got that game postponed, so who knows when they're going to replay that or play that game. That's my first not for the night.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and weigh in on my who's not, and I'm going to talk about the San Diego Padres.
The Padres. That's okay. You just took my answer.
They're in last place in the NL West. They've lost 8 of their last 10. their run differential is a negative 65, which is just horrible. So when you have, well, let me just talk about run differential a little bit. It's kind of like the
how much you're winning or losing your games by, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. It's like the margin of victory, kind of.
Right.
So when you're in a negative number, that means that
then your average game you're losing
by a whole lot.
Right.
I mean, a number like negative 65, this early into the season is pretty rough.
That's horrible.
The pitching numbers pretty much support this stat right here. I mean, the team ERA is 4.70, which is 26th in the league. They have 126 walks allowed. They acquired Jared Weaver in the offseason, and he really has not panned out. He's off to one of the worst starts in any of the pitchers in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
He's 0-4 with a 6.05 ERA. In May alone, he already has 12 earned runs in May. And, another one of their pitchers, Clayton Richard, he's 2-4 with a 4.34 ERA. And, in May, he has 6 earned runs and 12 innings pitched. So they're not pitching well. And on top of that, they're also not batting well.
Right. But it kind of sucks because Manuel Margot is doing pretty good. His the past few at bats, his last.
Join the Just a Bit Outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
Fall into this unknown to find who we really are. Crash into something new and take a break from our broken heart. Talk with the hip, tell me you lie. I think we should go for another round. Baby, try not to say too much. Let your love come down. If you wanna rule, there's some rules you gotta live by. Live by. Stay true to your cool, make a move, don't wait on nobody else. And if it feels like a melody, sing a song in my radio. And if you follow me there, I'll follow you back. And let the night unfold. I can tell that she can't get enough. Show enough, she couldn't get the feels up from me. I know she couldn't get the feels up from me. Cause your legs till we dance in the dark. Show enough, she couldn't get the feels up from me. We do whatever you like. The feels up from me. I know she couldn't get the feels up from me. So let's slide, you and me alone, to find who we really are. Crash into something new. I got ballet bringing up the car. Tell me you can't, tell me you lie.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
I'm T the Busy Bee, of course.
Mark.
Nate, you're supposed to say your name, Nate.
Oh, I'm Nate.
He's the boss.
Yeah, he's the boss's bosses of all bosses.
Maybe, possibly.
Possibly.
So-
He makes this happen.
Can y'all tell us what Skylyne is? Because we just was talking at the break, but I think that's an interesting topic. So what all is Skylyne?
It's a Skylyne.
No, for real. What is Skylyne?
I came up with the name Skyline because I love skylines. I'm from Chicago, South Side, Bridgeview, Oak Lawn area off of Harlem Ave. I lived there more with my grandparents than I did my parents. My dad's retired Navy, 23 years. Shout out to all the military men and women and everything that you do, because it definitely takes a real man or woman to do what y'all do. Not to leave anyone out. Shout out to all the first responders, police, fire, EMS. Again, it takes a real man or woman to do what y'all do on a daily basis. Skylyne. I love the Skylyne of Chicago, and I don't think there's a better Skylyne than Chicago Skylyne. There's a lot of people in this country. No, there's not. There's only maybe 3 or 4 cities. New York, maybe LA. That's only 2 I can think of. But it's neither here nor there. Every Skylyne in every city, whether in this country or a foreign country, is unique. I think you have to mix and match your skyscrapers with your smaller buildings, such as Baltimore. But again, every Skylyne is unique, and I'm so infatuated with the Skylyne of Chicago. That's where I started collecting shot glasses. I started with Chicago, and it transpired into an explosion of such. I have over 300 shot glasses. Don't do nothing with them. I don't drink in them. They collect dust. I wash them.
Skylyne.
I wash them once a year. I throw them in the dishwasher for about 10 seconds just to wash the dust off, because you leave them any longer than that, the residue of the ink will wash off. Trust me, I know, because I get glasses from Dave & Buster's on a regular basis. I haven't in about a year.
You steal from Dave & Buster's? Or you
Dave & Buster's, any restaurant that has some type of art
He didn't hear you. I heard you though.
He just went over it.
Yeah, I pretty much went right over that. But you know, any establishment that has some type of art, figurine, logo, whatever on their glasses, I don't ask the server. I need to see the manager. But you did not do nothing wrong at all. So it's my birthday. I want your shot glass and I want your glass. But I need 2 shot glasses and 2 glasses. And when I leave, if they just happen to disappear, are you gonna chase me in the parking lot? No, it's your birthday. That's 4 less things we gotta wash. Thank you very much. I had to ask first, because if I don't ask, that's considered stealing. But if I ask, you're giving them to me, so I can't say you didn't give me nothing for my birthday. And that's how I get them. Dave & Buster's, that's a whole different story. I know everyone in there, so it is what it is.
Alcoholism aside,
but there's a drink called
Wait.
TNT.
Skylyne.
Yeah.
NY Skylyne.
Yeah, I got this. 2 seconds. There's a drink called TNT at Dave & Buster's that you pay just a tad bit more, because the glass that they give it to you in says TNT on it. And you can actually keep that glass. That's your souvenir for paying just a little bit more for that drink. Anyways, Skylyne. So I figured out what I wanted to do about 20 years ago. And I started with Skylyne models. Skylyne models, I work with fashion models, celebrities, music artists, dancers, whatever. So I read up on it. I researched, I asked a lot of questions. I talked to different various peoples in the entertainment industry, between photographers and managers and agencies and so forth, and different various models of a professional level to an amateur level. Fast forward. I got tired of being like everybody else when it comes to homeless, less fortunate. I got tired of being selfish. Stop being selfish. I got tired. what can I do to make a difference within the community of homeless and less fortunate? So I called a buddy of mine and said, hey, I'm making 50 bag lunches consisting of a turkey bologna ham sandwich. Yes, I said bologna, but it's turkey. It's not pork. We don't do pork. Sorry. Go to the grocery store if you want that. A sandwich, no mayo, no mustard, just a plain sandwich. I don't know who's allergic to what. Honey bun, blueberry muffin, cough drops, gum, a bag of chips, a water, a juice. What am I missing? A snack box of cereal. I'm missing like 3 more things. But anyways, yeah. That lunch bag, for someone homeless, that can feed them for a week. Because you're getting about 12 different things. Well, I'll say 8. You're getting about 8 different things in a lunch bag. Now, you question, what the hell are you giving them cough drops and gum for? If you don't have nothing to drink, you put any type of hard candy or cough drop in your mouth is moist. Gum, you never know who you're going to talk to. That's going to freshen your breath up. Any type of hard candy, whether it's cough drop, mint, whatever, it's going to freshen your breath just a little bit. But at the same time, you got allergies. Wintertime, springtime, summertime, fall. You don't know who's going through what, nor are you asking, because that's getting just a little bit too personal. I don't want to know what your personal reason is for being less fortunate or homeless. I want to know what I can do to help you. Again, stop being selfish. So we went out and we walked around Baltimore. Pratt Street, Martin Luther King, City Hall. We did not know about the 83 and beyond. The Inner Harbor, the road that leads up to Camden Yards from the Inner Harbor, Lombard, Light Street. I didn't say Pratt Street? Pratt Street. And that's what we did. And we passed out 50 lunch bags. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And I remember 2 individuals like it was just a couple minutes ago. And we're going to go there when it comes to color. Because everyone wants to know, they white or black. Who cares? It's people. There just happens to be a white guy that's on the corner of Marketplace, right in front of IHOP. I don't know if it's the same dude, but the guy that I'm talking about, I've seen this guy for over a year on this corner. I haven't seen him lately because I don't go that direction no more, because I don't go to 7-Eleven because I don't smoke, so I ain't seen the guy in a year. So if y'all seen him, help him out if you can. Even if it's a stick of gum, something's better than nothing.
They normally shift as the weather shift.
Right. But he was so thankful, and he wanted to go into a whole in-depth conversation with me, and I was like, bruh, I don't have time. I'm not trying to throw no shade on you. But that's not what I'm here for. I'd love, if I had the time, I'd love to let you just vent. But I don't have that today. Then we were just to the side of Bubble Gum. That ain't Bubble Gum, is it? The shrimp place.
Bubble Gumps.
Okay. It is Bubble Gum, okay. I had Forrest Gump on mine for a second.
That's what it is.
Forrest, now don't you love me?
But
that's the thing of it. That's the thing of it.
I had my son take the guy bag, and the guy asked him, "Is there a sandwich in there?" "Yeah." "What's on it?" "It's a sandwich. It's food." "Oh no! If you can't tell me what exactly is on it, I don't want it."
Entitlement.
Oh. Well, that's not entitlement, but do you eat every sandwich that's put up to you? People still have.
And I'm not saying you're not allowed to eat.
It's not standards,
You
but
didn't have to ask it, and you don't have to eat it. You could have taken the bag because there's like 12 different other items in the bag. Oh no, I don't want it. You don't know what else is in the bag though.
He was focused. He just wanted a sandwich.
Right, and I've dealt with the homeless population since middle school. I've always worked with them. And one of the things that I tell organizations, and a lot of younger individuals or younger organizations that want to do this, people, they will find something to eat, regardless of what their standard is. It's more so the time. Because often people walk past them as if they're invisible part of the population.
And that's why I say what I said. I got tired of being like everyone else and walking past you.
Right.
Like you're nothing, you're meaningless, you're invisible. I didn't want to keep doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But I think a lot of people forget that these are human beings. And I don't eat bologna, I eat, chopped, carved turkey. But because you're homeless, it doesn't automatically, make you, I'm going to eat whatever. Like a lot of restaurants that whatever's left over, they take them. That's why legally you can't do that anymore. Because there are people with allergies. There are people with certain type of eating functions where they can't eat certain things.
Right.
So because I'm homeless, I'm not gonna, eat what's, every homeless person not eating out the trash can.
Right.
Yeah.
So you gotta understand that there are different types of people out there too.
Say that one more time and say it a little bit louder.
Every homeless person is not on the streets because they want to be. Some people is a mental disorder. Some people don't have family. Some people have moved here and then they become homeless. Everybody's out there for different reasons. But
not everyone that's on the street is eating out of a trash can.
They're not. Some of them have their own independence cards. Some of them work. There's one man that stands, he's normally right here on Fayette and St. Paul where it turns into Light Street. And he's on that corner all the time. Like, he's been there for years. He has a bank account at the Wells Fargo, at the MNC. He has a bank account at a bunch of the banks down here. And he'll get his change. He cleans up in front of Walgreens. And he'll clean up in front of the stores. And he stands outside and grooms himself in the summertime. And that's his home. Kathy Hughes Plaza is his home. And he makes it his home. He makes sure it's clean. You can tell when he hasn't been down there for a while because it's not as clean as it normally is. But he's made it his job to keep that area clean.
Right.
And the people who have had businesses down there have made it possible for him to make some extra cash. So everybody out there isn't strung out on drugs, isn't prostituting, everybody has different layers and reasons. And there's a gentleman right here, Nick. He's on Holiday Street. Everybody knows his name. I work right there at the Peel Center, and that's his home. He's built his home right there. Literally, people from the state office, not state office, but the municipal building, the other government buildings, they have brought him, they bring him food, on their lunch break. They give him cash when they on their way home. Yep. They've given him containers to put his stuff in. Like, he has made that that's his living room. That's his bedroom. So everybody out there, some of them not equipped to live what we would consider a normal life. They just not there yet. There was a gentleman, and his name jumped out of my head a few years ago. He gave his play to a theater company up in Mount Vernon, and they turned his play, they turned his journaling from what they could make out of it into an actual play. And I actually was in this play and learning about this man and the people that are around. He just journaled his personal experience. None of this was factual in terms of other people's perspective, but he wrote in his journal for about a year or two, and that was then put on stage. But it just showed you the humanity. People, and that's along that Howard Street corridor. And that you will be surprised that who's homeless. Some of the people who he was writing about, some of the characters that we were playing, like the guy who I was playing, I had walked past this man several times. I've worked, lived, and enjoyed myself in Mount Vernon for years. And you would not know some of these people were homeless. You wouldn't know. Some of them you think a little off, but everybody isn't in the same predicament.
Exactly.
But you gotta, and I've heard people say what you say, and it's fine because you were just starting out your idea. So you had an objective. This is what I'm gonna do for you. But most of them need the time. Because nobody else is taking that time with them. And most people are just setting up down under 83 and they got their little tables, their little church van, playing a little music, doing a little haircut sometimes, and then they uproot and leave. They take their pictures and then they go. And then they only see them on holidays or when it's cameras or when it's beneficial for them. But if this is something that people want to do, they have to be consistent.
Yeah.
Because people begin to look forward to that. But you have to be giving them something that's helping them to wean off of that. Because then they just become addicted to your support system.
Watch this. Me and T have heard that over and over and over, year in and year out. In Baltimore and DC. Why do you only do it the holidays?
Well, that's the time you think about them.
Or less fortunate, just the holidays. These people are out here day in and day out. Oh, it's raining, I don't want to go out there. You have that choice. They don't.
Yeah.
Oh, it's snowing, it's cold.
And they out in
been sick as a dog, and it's been cold as hell.
Up here, man, I was so sick.
Went out Baltimore and DC.
I was so sick. My eyes was.
But that's the problem. People only see it as an issue when they think about it. Holidays are the only time when we think about other people. That's the one time a year, or those several times a year that we think about other people. The rest of the time we're now on. Well, I got to deal with me right now. I see you at Thanksgiving, Easter, Christmas, New Year's Eve. I'll see you during those times.
And that's actually why we started doing it monthly. Was because we didn't want to be like any other organization. Now, the only thing is like because of the way that we do it, because we actually buy hot food and we actually serve them hot food. We serve them soups, like we serve them real food, meaning like cooked food, real cooked food. We can't do it more than once a month until we get the funds to do it more than once a month. But like some of those people, so they like really, they know you, they call you out for who you are. Like it's been so many different experiences, especially between DC and Baltimore. Like I actually got on the train one day and ran into someone that was homeless, and he had a whole conversation with me. Even though, he done seen me every month for the last 3 years, so it's not like he doesn't know who I am. But it really felt like we were actually friends having a conversation. Like I ran into, Mark has had people like, hey, Skylyne, I know you. You feed us every month. Something like we have people like in DC, especially in DC. I remember, what was this? February, I think. Like February. It couldn't have been March. It had to be February. It was either February or March. But where we usually are, where we usually feed the homeless, it was open, but they were doing road work there, so we couldn't get over to that area. They actually, DC some bosses, they just bossed the whole thing. They picked up my stuff, all my stuff, and moved it to where we were. It was like, now y'all can go on and set up and we can feed. And they had like 20, 30 people coming to help because we had so much stuff. Like, they were just like, hey, y'all, come help them. We got to move their stuff so they can set up. You know, they feed us real good. They do this. We have 2 or 3 every time that we go out there who wants to do security for us, just in case people get crazy. Now, it ain't always the best security, but I mean, we let them do the job anyway. Like,
nothing's better than nothing. And
we have that one family in Baltimore, is about 11 of them. They make sure they always come. And they got mad the last time because they decided to leave before we fed the food, so they weren't able to get the mac and cheese. But like, it's just different experiences, and the homeless people really know how to show that they appreciate you. And it's really weird because they're homeless, so you expect them to be appreciative, but somehow they got to where they were. So when they show appreciation and they're like, oh, thank you, and oh, thank you, and I appreciate you, you know, all of that. You're going to come back next month. We're going to be here next month, you know. That we're very personable with them. And that's really one of the things that I think distinguishes us from other organizations, because you can do it, yes, but if you don't actually know these people, it's kind of different. And on that note, we are actually about to take a break, and we'll be back in a short little bit. We have to pay some bills. Make sure you watch us live on BeExposedRadio.com.
Who the hell is that?
The one for me. Ever since then we've been vibing on some chemistry. It's just a matter of time. I know she feeling my vibe. I got the keys to the ride. She put her hands on my thigh. She got that look in her eye. SL what I'm riding. Royalty call me highness. All day and overnighted. Cause it's crunch time when I'm grinding. This Adderall got me nauseous. Proceed with caution. Tired of lanes, I'm exhausted. Poppin' Zanny Zan, sipping out the faucet. I'm confused, don't know what I'm doing. Wait, what I'm doing? Got me going where the I'm going. Out of space where I'm going.
Like the one thing you always gotta remember is people gonna try to project their insecurities onto you. But you can't listen to what the niggas saying. You gotta get out here and do your shit regardless. You gonna do what you love for the rest of your life anyway. So why not turn that shit into something? Be a man of everything. This shit bigger than me, man. Like yeah, I'm good and all that, but you know what I mean? I ain't shit without y'all. What you up with, I go hard. Don't matter. Can you imagine how I really having nothing is? Stomach crawling, you ain't got no food in the fridge. Surviving on a jail diet.
Join the club that gives you stuff.
Hey, thanks!
Radio Loyalty.
Here's how it works.
Just click on the Radio Loyalty banner right now and sign up. Then, you keep on listening like you already do. But now you earn points. Those points add up, and you can trade them in for stuff in the Radio Loyalty store. Earn more points by sharing your station with friends on Facebook and Twitter, answering surveys, and by using the apps in the New Players App Store. Pretty simple, right? Radio Loyalty. Click that banner to join now.
Here's what you missed on Salacious Life Radio.
You know, when it comes to your children, especially if you're dating someone that you actually like, you do want it to work. So you're gonna hope and encourage the relationship between your child and that person because you like that person, you know, so you're gonna hope for the best. I mean, sometimes, yeah, it just doesn't work and you can't make it work. You can't force it. It's like a branch. You keep bending it. Eventually it'll snap, and even if you put it back together, it'll never be what it once was. But you definitely pray on it. You hope for the best, you know, because like nobody wants to spend the rest of their life alone just because a particular relationship didn't work out, but you had this beautiful creature as a result of it, you know. But you don't want to necessarily spend and you're not all of a sudden a bad person. You're not all of a sudden not going to fulfill this other person's needs.
You, madam, are a harlot and a scoundrel.
Because I had one kid while I was still married. Like, I'm just saying.
I take that back.
What if the situation turns around the other way? So you ready for your child to meet? They meet the person, and this person is a giver. So this person.
You're listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Thank everyone that is tuning in. We are here live from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Wednesday on Be Exposed Radio. I want to say .com because it just comes with it. .com.
Didn't answer.
I know, but it just fit, so that's what I did.
Any other topics of subjects?
What do you want to talk about?
Right now, I'm a teacher. So a lot of issues, and we closing out a school year, but there are a lot of issues within the school system that bug me. We were talking before about how much teachers make and all that. And a lot of that is false information because I'm a resource teacher. So I teach music, theater, and sometimes visual arts, depending on what school I'm at. And I've noticed the school system has gotten less and less organized. And students are suffering because now students are out of control. In the past week, I know 8 teachers that are now either suspended or being taken out of the school classroom because there's been some type of confrontation. But the way the laws are now, they are made to protect the student. And I don't have a problem with them protecting the student, but in them protecting the student, it leaves the teachers, mainly the teachers that are in a union, out in the cold. So there's say out of all the investigations, none of the teachers are found guilty. Well, that teacher is probably out of pay because they've probably been suspended.
Blackcarded.
Right.
Blackballed.
If they're not guilty, so they get to go back into the classroom. But guess what? That child is still in that classroom.
Or I got away with it once, I can do it again.
Right, and they know nothing's going to happen, and often a lot of these problems have been swept under the rug. So the student know I can go off, and the teacher got to prove that they're innocent, and I'm gonna be good. There's no responsibility for the children. Right. So you said you had children. You have children?
No, I ain't got no kids.
So
I got nieces and nephews and godkids. They were my kids.
I'm doing a real all call, and I'm thinking about over the summertime kind of restructuring kind of some of my outlet into figuring out how to get the message out that we have to start training our children how to be respectful. This generation, millennial and XYZ, is off the chain because nobody is doing anything.
They're scared.
They're often raising themselves.
Doing something. You all are the teachers.
Well, there's nothing that we can do.
But y'all are limited because by law you can't do nothing.
Yeah, and most times, like in Baltimore City, 75% of the parents don't have a working number or up-to-date number in the school system. So if there's a phone call home, unless you know that parent and they come in and you see them, there's no way to communicate with the parents if the child is a problem.
Or it's the school calling, let the answer machine pick it up. Because they don't want to be bothered.
Yeah. So that becomes an issue. I've recently had an issue with a parent, and it's my mother, because she was an educator, the first thing she gonna say, well, what did you do? What led to that teacher saying or doing XYZ? And that made me more responsible as a student, but these students now don't have that. And one of my missions is to really kind of restructure the system of what the union is, because it's there to protect teachers, but not everybody on that staff is in the union. Right. And it becomes a tug of war when you are a faculty member and you don't have that type of coverage. So most times you're just trying to save your job. And the problem is parents aren't involved, as they used to be. So if you have 75% of your parents that don't have a working number or up-to-date number, that's a problem. Because who are we contacting? The police when something happens. So that's why.
The police are going to ask you what? Well, the child's a juvenile. What do you want me to do? I told 911 what was going on. What do I need to explain it to you for? That's why you came out here.
And most of the parents feel that way. They're your responsibility right now. Why you keep calling me? You can't control a class. And when a teacher can't control a class, they are replaced.
Yeah.
And that's a problem because children need consistency. So if they see all that they have to do is get buck wild and the teacher go quit or get fired, I'm going to get buck wild. And I'm going to keep doing that.
Learn anything.
Exactly.
And that's the whole problem.
The crazy thing is you have 7, 8, 9-year-olds that know all these, well, I'm going to say this word versus this word so the child don't know. No, the kids know that.
Oh, no, well, no, they are very intelligent in terms of what knowledge they know. They can't read or write, but they know how to get over. And they know they are very well versed in the Child Protective Service laws, and they know that you can't do these things, you can't say these things.
That's where society went wrong when it came to kids. Kids never knew they had rights. Kids have had rights since the beginning of time.
Well, not really.
To an extent.
Yeah, they haven't.
But now, kids have more rights than criminals have rights.
I honestly think that the fact that they know their rights on some instances is actually a good thing, but then it could be horrible on the wrong.
Well, I don't think they know their rights as much as they know the vocabulary that they've heard.
Right.
And it's a difference because I know my rights, because knowing your rights know what your restrictions are. The way they're computing it is you are restricted. And now we're like, as a teacher, you're given this book. And I don't know if any of you know what an IEP is or a 504 plan, but an IEP is what, simply in layman's terms, what's wrong with your child? Do they have ADHD? Do they have a certain medical condition? And then the 504 plan is what would help the teacher better teach that child. And a lot of them do not have the structure or the, as students, all they know is I have ADHD. So you can't talk to me like that. Or the issue with going to the restroom. So in my classroom, I have to get through my intro before anybody can raise their hand and ask, can I use the bathroom? But there may be somebody in your class that has a 504 plan that has chronic. It's time to go. Oh, go ahead. You gotta go ahead.
You could have closed. I was waiting for you to
No,
finish
go
the
ahead.
statement.
Go ahead. It's yours.
All right, guys. It didn't work out like I wanted it to. I thought I was going to slip it right to him. We're going to be like, all right, guys, and then, we're about to go on break. But we are about to go on break. We'll see you all in a little bit. That was actually a very good conversation. So can we pick it up right there? We left off?
Sure can.
All right, see you guys in a little bit.
You gotta be more
First they love you, then desert you. Leave with a plate full with no spoon. Ain't no space, I can't escape negativity. I got used to the taste of it. Bad burn, then fucked over. Remain strong through the Passover. Kicking haters out of the way like masked over. Roll up, sip something, let it pass over. Who would I be? They ain't the man to me, they let the next man take advantage of me. When that storm come, no pan I see. Get with it, not without it, you'll see. I beat the haters, they know I'm greater. That's why they buzzing for the elevator. But I can't save it, it'll be too loud on the pedal stool. Don't carry favors, always got your hand out, demanding favors. When I just looked out, now you need more paper. I can't breathe, give me 3 feet. I never let y'all be the death of me. When my patience run that, yeah, nigga, OT. Cause they wanna see me down like I'm NCT. 6 words, get the fuck away from me. See, I help you out if you can help yourself. I keep it G till I DIE. Now excuse me while I get back to PC. HOP ain't losing sleep. While your third eye always on me. I'm steady.
Hey, there's my son. You've been in your room all morning.
Hey, Dad.
Matt? What's wrong with your voice?
There is nothing wrong with my voice.
Oh, well, it's just sort of.
I have been playing my video games and electronic games for so many hours.
Uh-huh. Well, it sounds like it might be time for you to take a break. Or,
Hello, Dad.
Susan?
I have been watching TV and text messaging all morning. Hey, electronics. Hey.
Guys, I think it's about time to get in the car and take a little trip. Maybe see some trees, some green things.
What are these green things you speak of?
This weekend, unplug. Take your family to the forest. There's nothing in the world like experiencing nature firsthand. Trees, paths, bluebirds, streams. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Get out to the forest and discover the wonders of nature with your family, just like Blue, Jewel, and the whole Rio flock.
Let the kids connect to their roots. It's gonna be so much fun. Yeah!
Let's rock this jungle.
Yeah!
Fresh air,
What a glorious morning!
clean water,
This is great!
and endless surprises.
Yo, this is untapped territory.
How amazing!
Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
So when you get to the corner of Smith and Orchard, you're going to want to take...
You're listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey guys, and we are back like we never left. That came a little fast. You caught us off guard, but we're back to the show again. So what we were talking about was the I'm going to use the word lack. The lack of parent responsibility inside of the schools.
Well, I think it's a shared responsibility.
Yes.
You have some teachers that come there for a paycheck, or because that's just what I majored in school, or because I graduated from school, I can teach a subject. You know, but it's a shared. Parents are a big part of making the system move, and just like voters are a big responsibility. If you vote and then you sit out, versus if I just send my child to school and I sit out of the decision making, anything can happen. You know, our school system is deteriorating because the schools themselves here in Baltimore City are outdated. So y'all been hearing over the last couple years, in the wintertime, the pipes are freezing. And the summertime is sweltering. Well, depending on what temperature it is
about
outside.
the pipes freezing, because if they freeze, they might bust.
Well, that's happened.
That
happened here last winter.
Elementary schools, more importantly. Nothing to take away from middle schools and high schools.
But it's all the schools in the city.
You're dealing with more or less teenagers and young adults. Why are your elementary schools, if not anything else, why are these young kids, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, why are they freezing for 8 hours in a classroom?
Well, one of the reasons why, well, again, I just said that the school system, the buildings themselves are prehistoric. They're outdated in terms of the upkeep of them. They're janitors, but if you can't, as a janitor, you can't replace a pipe every day. But again, the parents who are working, who are part of tax-paying dollars that live in the communities where these schools at, the money isn't going into the school system. You know, you have high-ranking administrators that are sitting at our school board who are getting these big lofty checks to do these jobs effectively, and that money is not being funneled into our school system. You got some schools that don't have basic things, that have rodent problems, that have infestation problems, that just have issues with upkeep in the buildings. So here in Baltimore, they're trying to change over that and open up. We've had some new schools open up, but it's not at a number that's sufficient for the number of students that we have. And now that we had new people moving into the city, now it's becoming crowded again. We had a problem where it was, you know, the schools were emptying out and they were closing down schools left and right. But schools are being closed down here because they're outdated. And parents and even the public it's our fault because we are not telling these people what to do with the money that is coming from our fees and our taxes.
I was just about to get to that. I know for one of Maryland state laws that they passed, or bills that they passed, I'll say bill, is that whatever certain amount of money that the casinos make, a portion of it is supposed to go into the school system.
But it's not.
They're claiming that they have not made a profit, so that means that was a stipulation.
Not made a profit.
But see, that's the stipulation. So the stipulation was any profit that they make a portion that goes back into the surplus for the school system. That our lottery. The reason we have a lottery here, that was supposed to do that. The stadiums, and now the whatever you call that, the gambling
Somebody's
place.
lying.
Well, they obviously lying, but nobody is.
That's all they
Right, a lot of the we just had a problem with our mayor in the city. So those types of issues, they are pocketing money versus putting it back into the city. So
wait. Because I'm not finished yet. Because I actually like talking about the law and how the money was supposed to be flowed into the school system. That's actually something I know about, and I.
It was a lottery, and then our stadiums, and then now the casino. And all three of them reneged on their promise.
And they really reneged on the promise.
Because none of that money is going into the school system.
And that's crazy because in DC they actually are rebuilding the schools. They're rebuilding the schools, tearing down the old ones, doing something with that property. They actually are doing it in DC. And PG, I don't know if there's any. I know some schools.
PG is one of the wealthiest counties in the state.
Yeah.
And it has a huge lower class, and it has a huge wealthy class.
Yes.
So it's directly divided.
Yeah. And even then, but still, they're still building schools. I think my school was the last one built, and right after that was Barack Obama Elementary School. But I went to Wise High School. Excuse me, I'm sorry guys, that was really nasty. That was not supposed to happen. Wise High School opened up 07-08 because I graduated, 06-07 because I graduated in 09. I was the second class to graduate out of Wise. And first of all, Wise is the biggest, most glassiest school I have ever seen until I've seen schools in Montgomery County. But still,
it's wealthy?
Yeah, it's a very nice, wealthy school. All their windows are fiberglass. It's this nice, glassy blue, always lights on. It's different things. Barack Obama Elementary School was built right next to it, and it looks the same way. It looks like a mini Wise. I believe it's 2 floors. But it's really scary to see how they don't follow through with their promise as a county, as a city, just as Baltimore alone. At one point, Baltimore has so much history.
It has the museum that I work with has history. It was the first city hall. It was the first school for colored children. Frederick Douglass High School started there. It was the first school for colored children in the United States. The first high school for colored children, where gas lighting came from. What BGE. This city, this downtown area that you're sitting in is very historic. You talk about the Skylyne, we have some of the oldest, they're not skyscrapers now, they were considered at the time, some of the most historic buildings. Most of them, our city is so structurally different that you can make this look like New York if you needed to, make it look like DC, make it look like most of the major metropolitan cities.
Watch this. I was watching the news. And if y'all didn't see the news, you more importantly, because you're in Baltimore, Gilmore Homes. They're bringing them down this fall.
So they are second to the last projects that we have left in the city.
Really?
What are they? 3 or 4 levels.
Well, they're just homes. They're not apartments.
I'm like, they're 3, 4 levels. That's not a high rise.
Well, all of our high rise.
Years ago, 60, 80 years ago, that's what they were considered because they're more than 1 or 2 floors.
So like Cabrini Green, and we had high rises, and all of them were torn down. So by Gilmore Homes, that used to be not too far from them, high rises. I grew up on that street, Myrtle Avenue. There used to be Myrtle Avenue. There used to be high rises. It was close to it, but it was there. We had actual high rises. All of them got taken down, and then like the three-story projects were the ones that were left. So the single unit homes and the apartments, the 3-level apartments, are the ones that are coming down. And Gilmore is like a couple minutes from here as well. So those are now coming down. That's a big thing, because where those people are going to go to now.
Right, like in DC, they done tore down Berry Farms. They took over
Berry
Central Quarters. They just got the okay to rebuild Temple Quarters.
I mean, in Berry, well, that's DC. You're not talking about DC. You're talking about the county of DC.
Like,
she's talking about Berry Farms.
Yeah,
that's a difference.
Yeah, they tore Berry Farms down.
Just drive down New York Avenue, like you're going towards, I guess that's what, the convention center around the corner?
But you're talking about downtown DC. That is always going to evolve. But see, that's going to evolve. That's always going to evolve. And then gentrification is speeding up the process. But downtown anywhere isn't going to look. I mean, if just downtown alone, nobody lived downtown. This part of that. This is the inner harbor that we're at now. So downtown, there, because the communities that surround the inner harbor. This is the inner harbor.
Right there by.
We didn't have any of these condos 10 years ago.
Rusty Scupper. You didn't have none of them condos.
No.
You didn't have that high rise right across from where Hooters used to be, which Hooters is still in the area. They're just downstairs versus upstairs. If y'all didn't know, Hooters is still downtown and then Harbor. It's downstairs, not upstairs. You just gotta look. The gallery ain't but so big. Just gotta look.
That wasn't there in that. That was built in that whole downtown area was built in the 80s. That didn't look like that when my parents were young. So
now a lot of people will say, Schaefer, oh, he did so much for the city of Baltimore. He did. I do have to agree.
He did for the tourists. He didn't do it for the citizens.
Exactly. But the projects, not meaning projects, but as far as work to be done to structurally define the downtown city area.
The inner harbor, not downtown, inner harbor.
The next 30 years, it's gonna be off the chain.
Because Lexington Market is downtown.
Right.
That's considered downtown. This is the inner harbor that we.
The inner harbor. And
give me a sec. A non-Baltimorean is about to speak.
The where they're putting all the skyscrapers and Under Armour and the restaurants and
that's South Baltimore.
Yeah,
that's South Baltimore.
No,
South Baltimore. First of all,
that's
can we
considered South Baltimore.
Pause.
Federal Hill.
That's South Baltimore.
Okay. Well, from there through
just be ignorant.
the Inner Harbor and Baltimore East area, like. You're gonna build I'm sorry.
Keep talking.
You're gonna build a pedestrian bridge from Federal Hill to Baltimore East.
Well, that's still up for debate. That's not gonna be approved. There are too many citizens that live in that area that are that lived in another part of that city that was pushed to that area that are fighting against that, because then that means all of those homes that's underneath that area where that bridge will go will be erased, and a lot of citizens aren't having that anymore.
My thing is,
because that's not projects; those are actual homeowners.
You can't have a tall bridge because then you're going up and you're coming down, because you got too many tall ships that come through. So it would have to be a flat bridge that would have to have some type of raising of a bridge for the ships to come through. That I could see happening. But like you said, just because it's Baltimore East, what do you have a couple blocks down that Federal Hill don't want? X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Y'all know how to do the math. Add it up, subtract it, multiply it, then divide it, and then you got your answer.
So,
but it would be interesting.
A non-Baltimorean needs to know what is exactly the Inner Harbor and what is considered downtown.
Well, we're in the Inner Harbor now.
So we're in the Inner Harbor.
Yes.
So in my mind, downtown is by the water.
That's the Inner Harbor.
That's the Inner Harbor? So we're all, this is the whole Inner Harbor.
So the Inner Harbor is now, as you get maybe a couple blocks up, turns into Mount Vernon, which is downtown. Harbor East is downtown. Federal Hill is downtown. Charles Village is kind of like the last part of downtown, and that's above North Avenue. So Mount Vernon is below North Avenue,
right?
And then Charles Village is above. Then you have Bolton Hill. You have Reservoir Hill. Well,
Reservoir Hill.
Yeah,
north,
that's a little
Bolton Hill south.
Yeah, exactly. See, you
and
getting there.
You have Mount Royal, which is where.
So they become the downtown communities. So those are the downtown communities. Yeah, that's Mount Vernon. Because that's Charles Street.
Mount Royal.
Yeah,
Mount Vernon.
So Mount Royal is a downtown community. That's Micah territory. So those are downtown communities.
Right.
I'm trying to think of in DC. So Adams
Downtown
Morgan, Georgetown. But those areas, right? So those are the communities that surround the central downtown DC.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing with here. It's just our downtown communities are like more on like a C shape. It doesn't, because we actually have water that separates us. So it becomes a C, because anything below the harbor is like Cherry Hill and all those.
Yes, West
those
Baltimore.
areas. No, that's South Baltimore.
South Baltimore?
Yeah.
There's such thing as South Baltimore?
It is. Yeah.
I learn something new every day.
Baltimore is much bigger than what
I didn't know there was a North Baltimore. But is it North Baltimore going towards Towson?
Yeah, that is Towson.
Okay.
So Towson,
I thought Towson was
Towson.
Towson.
Well, see, the thing with Baltimore is
within the city limits.
But see, the thing with Baltimore is, unlike DC, people don't want to say that they live in Baltimore. So the thing with DC has exact opposite problems. Somebody that lives right outside of the line of downtown DC or DC will say, I live in DC.
Yeah.
Here in Baltimore, you're in Towson and you say, I live in Towson, Maryland. Versus Baltimore. I live in North Baltimore.
Okay.
So it's the thing of attaching themselves to the Baltimore name. Whereas though in DC, you want to be attached.
Right.
And say, I live in DC.
So I live literally across the street from DC. Like, DC's on one side, I'm on the other. I don't mind walking across the street. Some places over there, though, because I live close to Northeast, that's a little rough.
So that's PG that you're in?
Yeah, I'm in PG. But I never say I'm from DC. I say that my family's from DC a lot, because my family is from Uptown and they from Southeast. And we also have to go on break, so thank you all for tuning in, and we see you all in a little bit. We'll be back like we never left in a couple seconds. Minutes.
There's the same issue.
A minute and listen to this flashback of the On the Come Up radio show.
But I mean, you got to stop. So you want to stick on that? But anyway,
You taking slut walks now? What is going on?
Can I get some of that wine?
Now with the coffee?
I don't know. I got my cup right here, babe. Where that wine?
I can't.
Yo, Bob. No, I don't. Y'all not convincing me.
But that was never my mission. That was never my mission. This is not even a show to try to convince anybody. Have you seen the
You voted for Hillary. You voted for.
You didn't vote for anybody.
I'm telling you that. I stand on that. I don't see no.
You stand on your
That's
ignorance.
the whole. Yes.
Good.
Wow. Because you can't educate me.
You can't educate yourself.
Because I'm not a teacher.
Well, I am a teacher.
I'm an
and I'm telling you, you can't give somebody that's
I'm a
not
teacher.
receptive.
If I know something, I can.
Yeah, but if you're not being receptive,
or give you a reason.
we started who was running for a governor. You didn't even know who the man was.
It don't matter.
So why would I teach you anything?
Because you can't.
I don't believe you can. I don't believe you're informed. I told you.
I don't believe you. You don't believe we are informed. Are you kidding?
Ceremony.
You don't believe we are informed?
Y'all do it for fun.
No, let's go back to that statement. You said you don't believe
it don't really do nothing.
You don't believe we.
Especially for black
You don't believe we, the media company that you are in its studios, are informed.
Voting? No, voting is a fallacy.
Are you kidding? Are you?
But
you can't put your like all that nothing to do with it. Are you damn stupid that you are sitting in the media? Are you sitting in the media company that broadcasts the news and you are asking these dumb, idiotic, stupendous questions? These questions.
Voting?
What the? Quit! I'm fucking quit! Give me the wine. I want a drink.
Watch what this goddamn.
Give me the wine. I'd rather drink. I can't do this.
I got some good wine too.
Join us every Saturday at 7 p.m. for On the Come Up radio show, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Whatever happened to the times when we cared for one another? We shared the same respect. What is happening? We're trading what's important for shiny things. I can't allow this blasphemy. It's blasphemy. Why would you treat yourself like that? We didn't come this far just to fall right back. Where I'm from, don't lose yourself, stay on track. Baby, you're a god. You're a god. Baby, you're a god. Believe that. Full of the things that we've overcome. Full of unspoken battles we won. You're so much better than that. Sometimes the truth ain't always catchy as rap. Stop chasing cheese or you'll get stuck in a trap. Go get your crown and never render it back. No, it's blasphemy. Why would you treat yourself like that? We didn't come this far just to fall right back. Baby, you're a god. You're a god. You're a god. You're a god. Baby, you're a god. You're a god. Baby, you're a god. Believe that. You're way too gifted to stop and listen. It's condescending, not to mention all of our ignorance. Is their permission to? I know you like to turn up like that. With a drink to pull up like that. Well, baby, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Just make sure the God in you stays where it's at. You're the rising sun of a new day begun.
You're listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Were you talking
that's
about?
a school right there, that whole complex.
Yeah.
They tore that down, and now there's a new school there. So that's one of the new schools that they built. It looks like a little campus. So that's one of the new state of the art. But that's an elementary middle school.
Aw.
Yo, that Joker.
He doesn't realize he has a mic on.
He don't realize that he got a mic on at all. He doesn't even realize that we back live. I tried to say that we were live. You can still hear you though. You was loud.
So you gotta put it on.
You were loud enough. If anyone could decipher what you said, they could hear you.
I heard what you said.
So boom. But yes, we are back.
It is what it is. But yeah, that school is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That school.
So that's
compared to what it was. That school was real nice.
So they're moving slowly, like that whole Drew Hill Park area. That's about to change. They're about to build a whole new reservoir right there. So that's actually under
that's why they drained half that pond.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, like last year. Yes, I went to Ephraim at Druid Hill, and I said I would never go
to Ephraim. Well, Ephraim was not the problem. They moved it.
Who was it? O'Malley took it from 3 days to 2 days?
No, the current, well, it used to be 2 days.
No, Dum-Dum, that's not in office no more. We ain't gonna say her name. Dum-Dum. She took it from 2 days to 1 day.
Yeah.
and moved it to.
It used to be Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Exactly, and I remember that.
Yeah.
Someone took it from 3 days to 2 days. Pew turned it into 1 day.
Right. Well, it did not receive it, even though it was still under the city has a foundation called BOPA, Baltimore Office of Promotion of the Arts, and AFRAM became one of their festivals. And compared to all the other festivals that that department handles, the AFRAM or the Heritage Festival, which it was called later, but it's always going to be AFRAM, they don't give it the same amount of respect. So for a number of years, it was in the parking lot of the Oriole Stadium, the back parking lot of the Oriole Stadium, and it slowly grew. And it was, I mean, we had some of the top acts in the city used to come there. Patti LaBelle, Patti LaBelle, Fantasia, a number of those artists whose management office is actually like in Laurel. Their management is in Maryland. So a lot of that persons there, they had a connection with them. So we would get Patti LaBelle, Shaka Khan, a number of people. So now a lot of those, it was this awesome act. That management company covers a lot of artists that you would not even realize, but it slowly dwindled down to nothing. And it was very sad that it just didn't get the attention that it deserved. And we have a festival, one of the largest festivals on the East Coast, Artscape. So it looks like as that one grew, AFRAM dwindled. So of course the resources from that were being funneled into this one. So now those individuals that used to come to AFRAM, they come to Artscape now. And I'm as an artist, I'm really torn. Do I still support it? Because AFRAM was for African Americans, you know, in the city, and it, you know, all the other festivals or all the other cultures are huge, well-known festivals that have grown. And one year they actually tried to charge us to come to the festival, and it was one of their lowest ranking festivals in the city, and that's when it was 2 days. Well, the people did. People turned around and they went back home. Yeah. And that's when it was still at Oriole Stadium at the time, but they were trying to charge people $5 to get in, and people quickly turned around. Last year it was a cookout. It wasn't even a festival. Nope. It was basically a cookout.
Wow.
So I think that's the time you went. A rack of food trucks. You didn't have people out there doing their thing.
Vending and entertaining.
Right. You had a bunch of food trucks.
It was a cookout. That's
what it was.
I mean, they have truckaroos, but I guess truckaroos are different when it comes to a festival.
And we're not.
Well, I mean, they're still a part of it, but it used to be.
But that's not what the concept.
Right. It used to be vendors from around the country that would come and vend like African clothing and all types of things. And it went to, you know, your homegirl that buy her jewelry from Ali Boo Boo. It turned into that. So she was selling the little plastic fake African stuff. And I'm not disputing nobody's business. Do your thing. But that's what it turned into. We had vendors from around the world. We had artists from that were well known to like local artists, and then it went to all that to last year it being just a cookout. And it was hardly anybody there.
Hardly.
So that's, you know, Baltimore get a big slap when it comes to
the only thing you ever complained about with AFRAM was it just seemed like it was the hottest weekend of the year.
It was. It was.
But AFRAM was, like he said, it was the largest free event catered to African American people.
Yep.
You had Oriole Stadium and Radium Stadium full of people.
It's time to go.
Time to go?
Yeah, you're closing out.
It's that time. And I'm closing out? Okay.
How much time you got?
Shout out.
You got like 30 seconds.
To the two bosses in front of me. Nate, T the Busy Bee.
Tell that to my bills.
Yes. Keep them paid.
Shout out to Be Exposed Radio. We gotta
go.
If you're listening, we gotta send Lolita, who does the show tomorrow night in the same time frame, same 7 to 9. We gotta send her an email regarding.
We're on live.
The 3rd. But anyways. Shout out to Be Exposed Radio. Shout out to
We have 20 seconds.
Miss Be
10,
Inspired.
9.
Dave and
8.
Buster's, Chick-fil-A, Pizza Hut, 7-Eleven. If I didn't name you, it's not out of disrespect. We appreciate you. We love you. We see you next week. BeExposedRadio.com. Skylyne.
Whoa.
The moment my son saw a redwood tree
It's huge!
is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing!
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Artist Exchange